then Natalie was actually in Moscow and then she was in Oslo. And so she recorded her contribution in Oslo and then went back to Svalbard. So it's a beautiful photo, by the way. So, Natalie, why don't you say who you are and what you're doing? I mean, that's, if we have the original, why having me?
Right now,
Yeah, just say,
you know me very
Yes,
well, but I can say right now I'm on Svalbard, so I'm sitting in my office. You know where it is, and
yes,
we still
absolutely.
have some kind of light, but it's getting darker and darker. I'm a geographer, as I said in my presentation. So, and I already 15 years I'm on Svalbard, and I
Gosh,
enjoy this thing and do research in sea ice and laser scanning and risk assessment for sheep. And that's why was very interested what Lisa said about Greenland. We experienced the drop down, the all tourism activity here on Svalbard, but
yeah,
so
yes, and
interesting to see what's happened in another world, but we are continue our research and but still here.
uh,
And COVID actually changed our life on Svalbard at the university almost dramatically, because we needed to adjust our teaching schedule, because we don't have opportunity now to have so much student and so much guest lectures and past. So but we survive and we still do.
Yes, we have an ex-com member who's on leave at the moment who managed to have a baby. So she lives on
she's in
Svalbard, but
Svalbard.
I think she managed to get to Norway to have the baby and then come back to Svalbard. But yes, during COVID and lockdown, she had her lovely baby. So
You must know her
if you
because
if you
everybody
watch
knows
this,
everybody.
hello
Yeah.
Nilu Singh.
Uh-huh.
You know Nilu?
No, who is Nilu?
Her
She's from
husband
India.
is Sridhar, who
Ah,
works in
Sridhar, of
Sayas.
course.
Yeah, so Nilu's his wife, and they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
had a
I
baby.
saw her quite 2 days ago, and so
Oh, okay.
she's well. She's doing well, and
Please give her
actually,
our love.
Yes,
uh,
yes.
actually, I saw them both when they were moving down to Tromsø just to get a baby. So
Right.
I say them good luck. And then recently I met Nilu. Yeah, so I pronounce her name a little bit different, but
Oh no, I probably do it wrong. If you want to correct me.
but
Anyway, well
now
that's
I
great.
know whom I speaking
Talking
about.
about.
So
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
yeah.
So yes, and Nilu connects PEI with IASC, with the International, what is it? Arctic Science Committee. Sorry, I get my acronyms right. And also, of course, APEX, the Association of Polar Early Career Scientists. So Nilu, if she has enough feet, she has feet in all of these these spheres, as the wonderful scientist she is and educator she is. So that's great.
Yeah.
I love being part of this community because we all connect somehow. It's fantastic.
It's wonderful how all this
And we have to get
connection
Natalie to be
works.
part of it as well. Natalie,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
us.
please do, and help us work towards connecting communities and science and education.
In fact, I was on a ship with Natalie. We did 2 field trips in 2016
Actually, yes, it was
and
twice.
17. Yeah, the second time in Polar Sussel. And they had students because we went to help with the students who were doing a semester at unis, but they came from various parts of the world and just did credits for that. So it was a marvelous experience. And especially for the second lot, I was already talking about Polar Educators International because I was just putting in my application to become a member. just when I finished to be director of the Italian Polar Institute, and it freed quite a bit of my time, so I could occupy it straight away with polar.
And we don't think you've stopped working since, have you?
Well, but it's a very nice cause. That's a very good cause, and I think, Nataly, you would just enjoy the purpose, the friendship, because I mean, you education, that's your job, but it can be done with another type of support, and we are all very good friends as well. So that's what is most important. So please join us, get on the line.
Well, you can see how committed we are, because what hour are we on now, Pierre? This is our 22nd hour of broadcasting.
Non-stop
across the world, live stream on YouTube and Zoom if you'd like to join us via Zoom, so you can chit chat with us. Polar Educators International is celebrating the Equinox and Polar Week with this 24-hour broadcast to raise awareness of the importance, not just of the extraordinary polar regions, but also that they affect all of us, every one of us. I'm going to play your presentation, I think.
I think so.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Hello, dear colleagues, dear polar researchers and students. My name is Nataly Marchenko. I am geographer. I work at the University Center in Svalbard. Already 15 years I live in Arctic and enjoy Arctic conditions, do research in sea ice. By the way, on the background picture, you can see us investigating sea ice property in marginal ice zone. And about this, I will show you my presentation. Now I starting to share the screen with my presentation, opening presenter motor. So the title is Marginal Ice Zone Field Investigation in the Barents Sea. And here is the map of tracks of our ship, and you can see our ship, Polar Sicily. But before, I would like to introduce you to my university, the University Center in Svalbard. It's located on this island, Svalbard, on the halfway from Europe, Norway to North Pole. Between Greenland and Novaya Zemlya, it's real gate to the polar ocean, area of increasing strategic significance, and it's well suited to observe climate change and use nature as a laboratory. And here is the picture, the photo of our university in the middle night of a polar day in April. And you see it's covered all landscape covered by snow, and we're located here in the middle of Svalbard. UNIS is our abbreviation, and we have very good opportunity to go to the sea and research sea ice on the research vessels like this, Lancer, or like this, Polar Sicily, and do full-scale testing of sea ice. There are 4 departments in our university: Arctic Biology, Arctic Geology, and Arctic Geophysics, and Arctic Technology. I present Arctic Technology. All our students have a good opportunity to see real Arctic, and all our courses has a field component where, when our students have field work in the Arctic. And the motivation, why we investigate sea ice in marginal ice zone. The first, knowledge of sea ice state distribution A characteristic and movement is interesting both from practical point of view and fundamental science. And western part of Barents Sea is a region of increasing industrial activity. Oil, gas exploration. You see the map of gas and oil field goes far north up to the Bear Island, and it can be accompanied by traditional fishing and transport activity. So the information about sea ice requested by industry and safety authorities. See, here you see the route of ship, transport ship, and here the fishing in yellow and passenger vessel in blue. Nowhere in Arctic transport activity and navigation goes so far north as in Svalbard area. So it's some kind of testing area, how Arctic navigation will look like in future. Will we have accident or not? It's up to us. Here is the map of open petroleum activity and different variation how we can make a ice age line from different point of view. And here is our map, our tracks. It's exactly on the cross section of this different line. And here you can see a sea ice map of our area, Svalbard area, such map using of transport authorities and researchers. On this map, sea ice shown in different color depending of sea ice concentration. Red is very close drift ice up to 100% concentration. Further you see further south, orange, yellow and green area with a decreasing concentration. But this map shows us concentration. But how ice look like in reality? What are the ice property and possible threat? Might be we can have accident like this in 2007 in Antarctica with a vessel explorer. We should investigate it. Another motivation from fundamental science, sea ice now considering as a mirror of global process, global warming. And reflect global warming in the most impressive way. On this map, made it by NASA with animation of sea ice covered map, you can see variation. I stopped it on 1819 as time period. Sea ice very dynamic phenomena. It's varies from a year to year, from season to season, with maximum March and the minimum in September. Again, sea ice map such as give us ice cover, but what is the real ice status and trend locally and globally? It's a question. Will we have in future such view like polar bear lying on the ice floe and the cruise ship goes by? It's a question on which we would like to answer. That's why we investigate sea ice property in real ice during sea ice cruises. And the students in our university, in Arctic Technology Department, have a unique opportunity to take part in such investigation. And especially on course AT, Arctic Technology 211 course, Ice Mechanic Loads and Structure and Instrumentation. This is the name of the course. Students have a unique opportunity to go with us on the ship and have real Arctic experience. During 10 years, 2006-16, we use research vessel Lance, which gave us opportunity to go into the ice in red zone, investigate sea ice there. Since 2017, we use Polar Sicil. Here on the right side of the slide, the view of this vessel, and we concentrate our research in marginal ice zone here, where ice met to the open ice water and concentration getting less and less. We investigate this interesting natural phenomena, sea ice tongue stretching far north, almost up to the Bear Island to 75° north. And on this slide, you see the vessel, the working moment, how we work on ice, and you see track of vessel in 3 years. What method do we use and used? We use drifting buoys installed on ice floe to see ice movement. We see ice mechanical test. We see laser scanning, by the way, here, me standing on the heli deck of Polar Sicil, picking up a 3D point cloud of ice floe composition. Here is our students doing ice drilling to see how deep ice stretch under the water. And this picture above, capturing by scanning, and picture down, capturing by drilling and underwater video, gave us opportunity to make a 3D model of ice floe like on this picture. And also we do comparison with sea ice map and current state, like time-lapse series showing real ice floe composition. I will show you the results of our 3-year expeditions. The first results, the comparison of sea ice categories on the map with real state. We cross the ice tongue stretching to the south 2 times in northern part and in south part, and see how ice look like in reality. To tell you the truth, firstly, Captain was not sure. He didn't want to go into the ice, believed that all orange area on the map, it's very dangerous. And after that, he crossed it and see that it's not so dangerous, but you should be careful and you should understand the properties and what is the sea ice floe is in reality. And here is the slide summarizing our investigation. What is red zone? Dense ice field consisting of small and big rigid ice floe. Orange zone and yellow zone presented here on these 3 slides. The difference is that orange is more concentrated area and the yellow less concentrated, and on the, you see the description here, and on the north part you will meet more frequent rigid ice floe with ridges like this, and on the south part of the ice tongue you will meet less and smaller rigid ice floe. And on this down part you see green peripheries and iceberg. It's true that you can meet iceberg and ice-free water are so far south as 76 degrees, and iceberg can be up to 10 meters high. And as this rigid ice floe is a special characteristic for a marginal ice zone as Barents Sea, we made special investigation of this rigid ice floe, and that is presented on this ice slide. Again, I will repeat, we made laser scanning to pick up the geometry of ice floe above part, and we made ice drilling to pick up and to investigate underwater path. And on this table, we summarize the results. You see the photo of the investigation and you see obtained 3D model. In my short presentation, I will specially would like to specially underline this column, this line number 8 with sail and draft characteristic. You see that the underwater part can be up to 4.5 meters deep. And such ice flow can be very dangerous for offshore construction and for vessels. All our results were published and presented on the conference and in journal papers. Here the slide showing the investigation of ice tongue in 2019. In March 2019, ice tongue stretched to Bear Island and ice with almost 100% concentration surrounded Bear Island. But before our expedition in April, a strong south wind destroyed this ice tongue and pushed it to the north. And we didn't have opportunity to cross it again, but we had the opportunity to investigate again this marginal ice zone. In this place, we didn't have opportunity to moor our ship to ice floor, but we use other technique. We delivered staff, students, and equipment by rubber boat on ice floor. It was quite challenging, but doable in safety way. And we did investigation like this on ice floor. On this slide and this photo, you see how deep and how big is underwater part. And here us measure the ice on this ice floor. And in 2019, we made another investigation of ice flow thickness. This investigation were initiated by captain of Polar Sister ship. Looking on this screen of his vessel, he guess what is the thickness of this flat ice floor. He has some clue, but he wanted to have confirmation, which that's why we made such investigation, again deliver students and equipment on ice floe by rubber boat, measure the ice thickness. And here is the summarizing picture of our procedure. I did the laser scanning of ice floe composition, picking up the geometry of sea ice, and the students made a drilling and in several places on the ice floor, summarize the results of each floor in such table. Here is the drawn picture, how it looks like. And here the summarizing picture table of all floor investigated. And here you see the floors, the process. And I would like to keep your attention on the first column. You see sea ice thickness. Even for flat ice floor, ice thickness can be up to 2 meters and 1.5 meters in average. This is how sea ice look like in marginal ice zone in this time of global warming and ice shrinking. And I would like to share with you my practical consideration looking on ice flow composition on the screen of polar sisal, and after measurement of ice thickness and the size of the ice floor, because I am involved in several projects on safety, preparedness, and navigation, safe navigation, search and rescue operation in the Arctic, I remember such photo. It's photo from 1989, cruise liner, liner Maxim Gorky had an accident when all passengers were needed to be evacuated from ship to the ice floor and lifeboat. What's happened? On the way from Germany via Iceland to beautiful Magdalena Fjord on Svalbard, the cruise liner Maxim Gorky luxury ship met ice field. There were 575 passengers on board, 73 of them quite old, and more than 300 crew members. And just on the halfway, on the big distance of settlement of Longyearbyen, vessel met ice floe field. But thinking of that it is first year not so danger ice kept the speed and met big ice floe which damaged ship in the foreign part, and the ship began to sink, and only one way was evacuate all passenger and part of the crew on the ice floor. Actually, standing on ice floor were more safety than be in a lifeboat, because all this ice flow were moved, were moving, and the ice lifeboat can be crushed. But this story has a very happy end due to skill of rescue team of rescue vessel Senya and helicopters. All passengers were picked up and delivered from ice floe to Coast Guard vessel Senya. By the way, this is the ship sinking. The ship also was saved by welding. But such accident can happen. And with this last slide, I would like to thank all the team, Polar Sisal team, crew, uni staff, students on Arctic Technology 211 course, Research Council of Norway, for help and collaboration during the research. I would like to say thank you, Maria Pia Casarini, for opportunity to be part of Polar Educator International, and thank you very much, all of you, for your good attention. I stop sharing this presentation, and I wish you good luck with all your researches and all your life.
Just wondered if we should pause there and just say thank you so much.
Yes.
Nataly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Such sophisticated ways of looking at the ice and and assessing what it's doing. It's amazing to use the science to look at the ice and then think about risk.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Sure. Again. We must become part of us anyway.
Yes. Yeah. Do join PEI and think about coming on our council, because there's a whole new dimension that you add, and we're working on the Polar Resource Book, bringing educators and scientists together to create resources for an updated version of the oh dear, what was it called? I can't remember.
Polar
The
Resource
long title. Yeah, we call it the Polar Resource Book, but it was created in 2010 during the last IPY, and we're trying to work to review the science in it and update the science in it, but also to add new areas. So I'm not sure how much there is about risk and ice, and I can see a lot of kind of parallels with indigenous knowledge about ice here as well. So I think you have to join PEI.
Absolutely. I'll make sure of that. And also you might enjoy what's follow, because that's one of our council members, Valeria Tacca from near Milan, and she was actually for 6 weeks in Svalbard. She won a competition to take part in the school, the summer school, and she was helping the geological work of scientists. So she's just coming after you. I put you together because it was Unis and Svalbard.
Thank you.
Sure. So maybe we can.
Let's go ahead.
Yes, right. So Valeria is a teacher in the Italian school system, but also she is doing a second degree in geology right now. She has a grown-up daughter.
Let me introduce myself. I'm a secondary school math and science teacher in Italy. I'm a part of the wonderful Polar Educator International organization, where I am also a council member. I recently decided to enroll at a university in Italy in the Faculty of Geology, and this summer I attended one of the summer school at UNIS, a specialized university-level education in Arctic studies in Svalbard. With this short presentation, I would like to tell you about my experience as a student of the course I attended from mid-July to mid-August. The course was on environmental change in the high Arctic landscape of Svalbard. UNIS is located in Longyearbyen, the main town of Svalbard, an archipelago located in Arctic Ocean. Our study places were around Longyearbyen and Kaplinne, where we did a week-long fieldwork. The days following my arrival at UNIS were dedicated to the safety training. Polar bears are at home on Svalbard, and therefore there is always a chance on encountering them while hiking. I learned how to behave if I met the bear, get away as far as possible, and how to load and use a rifle. It is mandatory to carry a weapon with you on every excursion. In a group of 5 people, at least one had to own and carry a rifle. The safety course continued with the survival tests in the event of a shipwreck, since we had to be transported several times with a boat. We put on survival suits and jumped into the freezing Arctic water. I was quite worried, but to my surprise, the air left in the suits allowed me to float calmly without feeling cold. It was a very fun experience. After the safety course, we started with observations on some of the geomorphological features of the area around Longyearbyen, such as debris flow. Debris flow is a water and mud flow with the characteristic structures as you can see in the image. A large debris flow is located very close to the cemetery. In the future, there may be other phenomena of this type, so they are thinking to move the cemetery to a safer area. The first hike was an excursion on the glaciers around Longyearbyen, such as Longyearbyen and Foxfonna. We made ablation measurements of the glacier surface by making a deep hole in the ice and inserting a pole. Periodically, we had the task of see how much ice had been lost by measuring the length of the outgoing rod. We collected criconite sample present on the surface of the glacier. Criconite is a dusty formation, a combination of small rock particles and bacteria. Criconite is therefore the result of a particular interaction between the mineral and biological world. Criconite absorbs solar radiation, it has a low albedo, and promotes ice melting, forming cylindrical holes. The second excursion was to Share-a-thon, on the other side of the Adventfjorden. We crossed the fjord by boat and make a geomorphological observation of the area. We have seen evidence of ancient marine terraces. These are all the limits of the sea surface, and you can see in the red line. And this all the limit of the sea surface when the crust was pushed down due to the great weight of the ice caps during the last ice age. After the deglaciation, there was the isostatic rebound effect. The crust rose due to the lower weight on it. We saw evidence of a remain of marine shells within fan structures in the old marine terrace. The third excursion was to Bjørndalen, a valley overlooking the Isfjord. We observed the morphological structures of the area, and also here we saw the ancient marine terraces. There are evident phenomena of erosion of the coast, you can see in the image. And this erosion have forced some houses to move inland. We finally started preparing the scientific equipment that we had to bring to the field at Capellinet. We have tested and packaged the tools, checked the functioning of new instruments, checked the new cameras for the time-lapse, and got the survival suits necessary to enter the cold waters of the streams and the lake. And finally, the day of departure of Capellinet arrived. Our accommodation was in the Isfjord radio facility. In the past, it was an important telecommunication link between the Norwegian mainland and the inhabitants of Svalbard. Our study target was the Linnedalen Valley, the Linnedvatnet Lake, and the Linnenbreen Glacier, a complete glacial, fluvial, lacustrine, and periglacial system in the high Arctic setting of western Svalbard. There are no roads, and therefore everything was carried on the shoulder. Cans, material for the boat we used on the lake, scientific instruments, rifle, and more, all anchored to our backpacks. Arriving at the lake, we arranged the zodiacs, and we were ready to start the intense day of measurements. As you can see in the image, it was sometimes necessary to remove water from the boat. During the excursions, we were always very careful to observe any presence of bears in the area. Capellinet is a place often visited by polar bears, also due to the presence and nesting of various birds. One day we had a visit from a mother bear with her 2 cubs on the east side of the lake, and for safety reasons, that area of the lake has been declared off limits. The days were very intense. Fix the weather station, collect of loggers that measured the temperature at different depths of the lake, download the data stored during the previous year, and a core of about 60 centimeters of sediment from the bottom of the lake was also collected to study the VARV, annual rhythmic repetitions of sediments, used for paleoclimatic studies. Lake sediment traps at different depths were also collected to study the type of sedimentation that occurs in the lake. The time-lapse cameras have also been set up and ready to monitor the lake to observe when there is the ice formation in autumn and breakage in late spring. We have made excursions around the lake to observe the typical geomorphology of periglacial environment, such as rock glaciers, fluvial fans, rock avalanches, and we measured the active layer of the permafrost, a layer that thaws every summer. The snow trees were repaired and assembled. Snow trees are structures with arms to which light and temperature sensors are attached, and they are used to study the deposit of snow fallen during the winter, and how and at what speed the snow melts during the late spring. Stream discharge measurements were carried out on the stream entering the lake. This stream carries the melting waters of the Linnebreen Glacier. Fortunately, the water level was low, but survival suits were still indispensable. In the evening, the return to Isfjord Radio was always very exciting. We were surrounded by wonderful landscapes with beautiful lights and colors, and with the typical permafrost circle structures. The time has come to leave for Longyearbyen. The field work is over. Everything was placed in the crates loaded on the boat. We did a lot of science. From the analysis of our data, we have seen that the Arctic environment is changing, and also very quickly. The glaciers are rapidly losing mass, and the front is retreating. The surface temperature of the lake has been increasing in recent years. The rain, compared to snowfall, is increasing. And this is unfortunately another sad story to tell. It was a truly fantastic experience, also thanks to the wonderful group of students who were always enthusiastic about facing the challenges we encounter every day. Furthermore, I do not want to forget the precious contribution of our professors, Mike Retelle and Steve Roof, who have contributed to make us part of a high-level scientific project in the Arctic. Thank you very much for your attention.
That's a very nice presentation from Valeria Tacca.
Sorry, I'll unmute myself. There we go.
Yes.
Wow. Well, Valeria is, am I unmute? Yes, I'm unmuted. Valeria is also a PEI council member, a very, very valuable PEI council member. Contributed an awful lot to the PEI core values that we developed last year. Pia, what were they again? Welcoming. We hope we are. Welcome everyone who's just joined us.
We should learn by heart.
Yeah, we should.
After 24 hours, I'm just
yeah, we haven't had any sleep.
I'm very impressed. I have to say that I've been nodding off.
We haven't had any sleep. I'm just trying to think.
My friends. That's
yeah.
We're at 20 yeah, about 20 something hours right now. So I know that we have, what do we have here? I might have to go and find them. I'll mute myself and go and find the core values. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
Right.
And what both amazing presentations, so plenty to talk about. We won't start the next hour till 10 o'clock UTC. So you've got 10 minutes to chat and I'll go and find the core values.
Yeah, I had just added, if we wanted to, again, the piano concert of Ludovico Einaudi, because that was done, in fact, in the fjord in Svalbard. But I think chatting is more fun, so we can forget about that. It can be found in another one, so that's okay, in a previous place. So thank you, Jose, for joining
it's a pleasure
us.
to come back. One of the questions is, how did PEI manage to have that 24 hours? Was it you, Pia, that stayed awake all through the night?
Well,
or you had some
more or less
Australian friends?
Well, I think everybody did their part.
Okay,
and luckily we have Joanna in Alaska, and
fantastic.
we have Betsy in Arizona on Pacific time. So we were lucky to have at least the technical part sorted out. So, but even Joanna went to bed at midnight, left at midnight, and it was okay because she had a working day at the school. So she came in her afternoon, which was okay to give a relief to Sophie and to the people in Europe. So,
yeah, but it's great. It's great in any case. So it's
yes, I tended to, you see, because being the sort of lead and organizer, I had a lot of people that were my people. So I was interested in being there, even if it was recorded, just to be there. So I snatched about 45 minutes of sleep here and there. So that's okay. But it is an amazing experiment that we've done, I think. So,
for sure.
Yeah, is it the first time that's the whole day, the whole
Yes, that's why we will learn what went well and what went less well. So, but since I enjoyed greatly to gather such a variety of contributions, I think that we could consider, we have to talk about it at XCOM level, but it could be interesting since we like to identify with the solstice and the equinox anyway. Maybe we could do a mini share-a-thon, like 6 hours for each of the 4 times, which sums up as 24 throughout the year. And then each member can bring other members so that it's not just a small group that does it, but a much more open idea. Anyway, it's an idea
like a mini workshop every 4 or every 3 months.
Yeah.
And it'll be nice. Well, yes, one thing that I appreciated in this Share-a-thon is that it's flexible. You know the agenda and you fit in according when you have time available. Because most of us during the 24 hours, either we're sleeping or working or traveling or doing things. So I would assume that if we have the Share-a-thon was great because you can see when you can join in and contribute, or at least watch what you could watch.
By the way, can I ask the question, because we have 2 links to Zoom and also to this Slack or something like that. What I don't understand, how does it work? It seems that we all in Zoom, but how the other link supposed to work?
I'll unmute myself. Okay, so look, all these different links. I know. So this is basically. I don't know how Zoom are feeling about us right now, but this is we're probably going to get the record for the longest Zoom meeting ever. So we have a link to the Zoom meeting, which is the one that when you registered with your name and it said, "Please, can I have the Zoom link?" That's what that sent you. And when you use that link, you're here with us in the Zoom meeting. The second link that we have been sharing via Twitter is that we're also broadcasting live on YouTube. So we are streaming this live on YouTube for anyone who wants to dip in and dip out. There's less interactivity if you do that. You can leave comments, but you can't really join in the chat like we can. And then the final link, the Slack channel link, PEI have, Slack. So PEI have just started trying to look for mechanisms by which we can have continuing dialogues and conversation. So it's another application within which you sort of join a little forum of people chatting. So the first thing you do is you register on Slack, which is free. And then you find the PEI Slack channel.
Yeah.
And you should be able to see what people have said, or if there are questions asked, you could answer them on risk, or you could pose a question. So it's a way for us to continue the dialogue and to keep the
so
dialogue.
It's for future.
It's now
now.
and future, because it's such a shame to lose such an exciting time together and wonderful. I mean, look who we've got with us right now.
Yeah.
We've got Trumpso joining. Hello Trumpso. And we've got, is it Nigiri? We've got the far east of Russia joining us as well, which is amazing. So the Slack channel is Svalbard and Portugal in the sun, and Coimbra, in Portugal in the sun. So so we wanted to try and capture some of this energy and maybe carry it on. And I don't want to talk for too long, but one of the most one of the key PEI drivers at the moment is that we're working towards our next conference, which fingers crossed we can go to in person in Iceland, in Hoffen. And because we're dipping our toe into the Arctic for the first time, we've been very safe up until now in Europe with our conferences, but we've moved closer to the Arctic. And because PEI this year have become a part of the organising of the Arctic Science Ministerial, we have 3 deliverables, Arctic Science Ministerial deliverables. One is the conference, to run the conference. One is to continue work about the Arctic in renewing and updating the Polar Resource Book, which was first published in 2010 during IPY. And the third is generating a global conversation looking at the intersection between science, education, and Indigenous knowledge. And we've never done something like that before, but we thought we would take that responsibility on. And this is why we're looking at things like the Slack channels for capturing people's thoughts and questions so that we can begin to generate this global conversation. And hopefully eventually we'll have sort of World Cafe style events, but we've got a little bit of working out to do before we get to that stage. But
we are only human. But the one thing also, if people are interested in what this ASM3, the Arctic Science Ministerial, has been giving us as some kind of stimulation to do this, is that in 2 hours time, the last hour, that is to say the one at 11 to 12 UTC, we actually close this Share-a-thon with the Arctic Science Ministerial, talking about it, and with the organizer from Iceland that is joining us live. And also we are showing a video of the presentation that our then President, Julia Dooley, gave at the Arctic Science Ministerial. I must say we were very proud because really we were asked to participate. And that was really, I felt very proud of polar educators to be asked to be part of this education side of the Arctic Science Ministerial. So if you want to learn more, absolutely from the person that organized everything, that is to say, Lindsay Arthur from the Ministry of Culture in Iceland, she will be talking live in about an hour's time. So do join us if you have time. That could be very interesting. And that's the basis. That's why I put the Arctic Science Ministerial at the end, because really it gives us, it's what PEI's future is moving towards, to actually implement all the things that we said, the deliverables for the Arctic Science Ministerial. And of course, the more people can join us to do that, the happier we are, because old friends like Jose, new friends that find that our ideas and our commitment they like what we do, please join and to grow PI, because really PI is us, is all the people that put their time in it for the success of polar education.
Yeah. Sorry, I've gone very pale here. I think the sun the sun came out. It's quite good because you don't see the bags under the eyes from the lack of sleep. We have not forgotten the Antarctic. PEI is dedicated to the Antarctic, and Jose, you missed 3 or 4 of us saying how wonderful your film was. We showed a short film. It's called The Latitude 10 or something.
Latitude 60.
Latitude 60. It got the number wrong, but it had great music. So we did our morning exercises to it. But I said afterwards that it was a great advert for anyone thinking about becoming a polar scientist. Basically, it was a wonderful mix of how awesome the polar regions are, how incredible the opportunity to do science and to do science in an environment like that is. And it also demonstrated what a fine educator you are, because we all learned a lot. Yeah, so thank you for that one. Okay, just a quick glimpse at our core values then. So I hope we're demonstrating these with this 24-hour event that we're running. I hope that you can see that we reach to different areas of the world to be credible and to provide teachers and educators and science communicators with robust scientific foundation and evidence which can be trusted. I hope you feel welcomed here today. I hope you can see the passion that we all share for the polar regions and for education. And if staying up for 24 hours doesn't mean we're dedicated, then I don't know what what does. But
sure.
Okay, I'm going to talk amongst yourselves just for a second, and I will line up